All right, so my global action plan is all about coral reefs. Okay, so I first thought we should start off talking a little bit about myself and why I love this. So I love the ocean. When I was younger, we went on a lot of family vacations to the Caribbean, one of which was to Jamaica, and my dad took me snorkeling for the very first time. And I remember seeing brain coral and all these coral reefs and all these animals. We saw a stingray, and my dad thought it'd be funny to go down and touch it with his fin, and I started freaking out, but it was a lot of fun. We saw some really cool things. Also, when I was a lot younger, my aunt called me once and asked me what my favorite color was, and I told her sparkly rainbow, and I thought it was funny because coral reefs are sort of like sparkly rainbows, so I think that's part of the reason why I love them so much. They're really pretty to look at. So as a person, I also love writing, and I love taking the course English media last year, so that led me to wanting to go to Western for the Media, Information, and Technoculture program, and I'll talk a little bit how that program will help with my global action plan in the following slides. I hopefully, since I love traveling, I could hopefully to go on an exchange in my third year at Western, and maybe it'll have something to do with my global action plan depending on whether or not the areas are tropical. And I do plan on going to grad school, don't know where, probably won't be in Canada, hopefully the UK or the US, but we'll see. And I'm not sure what for, because I'm not really quite sure what profession I want to do yet, but MIT program is really broad, and it's in the field that I'm interested in, so I feel like any of the skills that I learn at Western, I can apply to anything really. Yes, so that's a picture of me. Okay, so my overarching goal is to raise awareness on how to prevent further damage to the coral reefs in terms of your eco footprint and helping the general environment. And I also plan on bringing ecotourism into it. So there are these neat little programs called coral reef cleanups, and basically it's when divers go and they gather debris from the ocean that are around coral reefs. And I will be doing that through travel agencies. Okay, so a little bit of background. So I'm pretty sure we all know what climate change is. So there's been a rapid increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere over the past few decades, and this has led, it's not only affecting the air but also our water. So because of the increase in carbon dioxide, it's changing the ocean chemistry, which is leading to something called ocean acidification. Now, there are certain types of organisms that coral reefs rely on. So this means that they can't adapt to the new ocean changing chemistry, so not every single organism will live, a lot will die. And we know these long-term effects because about a long time ago, when this was a theory about the dinosaur extinction thing, but when the comet came and landed on the Earth, this increased the amount of carbon dioxide in the air at a rapid rate, and this quickly changed the ocean's chemistry. So we know that a lot of the coral reefs died, and some were able to adapt, but not many. So coral reefs are ecosystems. They support a ton of organisms, and because of this would be a huge blow to the entire world if we lost coral reefs. They're a major food source, and our world is already facing a lot of hunger issues today, and this would only aggravate the situation. In terms of the economy, the fishing industry is huge in many countries. It brings GDP, it accounts for a lot of the GDP for many countries in Africa and in the Caribbean, as well as tourism. A lot of people, when they travel to the Caribbean or places like Australia, seeing the coral reefs is a big thing. People want to see them, as well as the pharmaceutical industry. And I didn't know this before, but a lot of the organisms found in coral reefs go towards making certain medications that will help with arthritis and other illnesses. So this is a picture that I'm pretty sure my dad took when we went to the Great Barrier Reef, Australia, a while back. So the colors are really good. So this reef is healthy, I'm assuming. Maybe the light a little bit, but yeah. Next picture. Yes, this is another picture my dad took. I thought it'd be nice to add some of my own photos from my vacation. So this is not my photo, but this is an example of coral bleaching. So There's certain algae on the coral reefs that make the corals like the color that they are. So this algae feeds off of organisms that can't adapt to the changing ocean chemistry. So if the algae can't eat, the coral reef will turn this color, which is called coral bleaching, which is the first step before the coral reefs die. And a lot of other organisms, like, they can't be supported with the coral bleaching because, like, once the corals are bleached, they lose their, like, food sources and whatnot. This is another example of, like, the coral bleaching. And that's another bleached coral. It's really sad to look at, like, knowing that it was, like, once really colorful. This is a photo I took at a beach in, I think it was Sydney, but the number of signs, like, around the world that are like this is increasing at a rapid rate as well. And soon, like, it's going to be really hard to find places that are safe to swim. And I think for future generations, we should start, like, helping the environment, and, like, people need to be aware of this. Okay, so my first, like, main goal is to participate in a coral reef cleanup myself, because if I'm going to advertise them through travel agencies, I need to make sure they're actually credible, somewhat safe and fun. I mean, if they're not fun, I'd find it hard to encourage other people to go on them. So it'd be part of a family vacation, as I doubt I could pay for it myself. And it happened this summer. So before, I need to research a specific program and the reefs within this region. So some good programs that I am aware of is Project Aware. It's this foundation, actually, where a group of scuba divers, they go to different places around the world. Like, they have, I'm pretty sure, like, the website wasn't very specific about it, but I'm pretty sure they have, like, a main office in, like, certain countries, and they have days where, like, specific days, it's not like an ongoing thing, but they have specific days when they go and clean up the reefs. They have a lot in the summer in the Caribbean. That would be an interesting one. There's also Gecko Dive, which is in Bonaire, and they do similar things as that. So scuba diving is part of these like programs. So the only problem with scuba diving for me is that I've had, like, a couple ear surgeries when I was younger, and I wanted to do scuba diving at the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, but they recommended against it. However, I'm pretty sure, like, shallow water scuba diving would be okay. And I'm not yet certified, but it's very easy to do so, and I've done lessons before in a pool, so hopefully I'll be able to do that this summer as well. So I'd be choosing the area and the program based on cost and safety. So during the actual cleanup, I would be interviewing the staff about safety, like how it helps the coral reefs, any changes it's made, whether or not, like, how many people sign up on average if they think they need something like this. And I'd also have to keep in mind, like, the cultural and like, barriers, if there's any, like, specific wording I'll need to use, or whether or not, like, they'd be okay with me doing something like this. So I would consider this goal a success if I found it somewhat enjoyable, and if it was safe and it actually makes a difference and we're doing more to help it than damage it. So yeah, this is just a picture of some of the, like, what they do. So the scuba divers go down, they have, like, a bag, and they collect any, like, garbage they found at the bottom. Okay, so my second goal is to develop a social media presence. So this, I'm pretty sure, will be the main part of my gap. So after I participate in the coral reef cleanup and I distinguish it as credible, I will be starting a Facebook group. So I'll start with inviting all my friends to the Facebook group, which is about, like, 1,000 or so. And I'm pretty sure around 10% of the people would take the invite. I'm not going to go as far as, say, like, 50. But with that, that's about 100 people starting off, and hopefully they'll invite their friends. So hopefully it'll grow from there. So I would be posting a fact a day about coral reefs. I'll be encouraging them to lower their eco footprints and, like, posting facts about how they can do that. Lots of videos and stuff like that. And hopefully I can advertise the coral reef cleanups on this as well by gaining permission from the programs that I went on. So I will consider this goal a success if I gain around 1,000 members by the end of 5 years. So my third goal is to use travel agencies to advertise these coral reef cleanups. So once I establish that they're credible again, I would seek permission from the programs that I went on and see if they're willing to let me advertise it. So I've already spoken to my mother about it, and she said she's a travel agent, and she said she's willing to advertise them as long as I do the research and make sure they are credible. So if she advertises this and some clients of hers end up going on it, I will be following up with them and get some feedback and how they thought it was and if they think other people would be willing to do this. And from there, I would go on to contacting other travel agencies with my mother's help because I don't know that many. And I would consider this a success if travel agencies other than my mother were on board with it at the end of 5 years. So my timeline, so for my first year, I'm going to go to Western. I'm going to go on a reef cleanup this summer, hopefully. I should have added that I need to get scuba diving certified. I should start my social media awareness campaign. I want to communicate with the program that I went on and gain their permission to advertise through my mother. I need to come up with an advertising method for them because I just can't say advertise this. I need to say whether or not they're going to give them a link or I'm going to make a brochure or something like that. I'll probably end up making a brochure. I'm pretty good at that. And then I'll have my mother begin advertising. For my second year, I'll continue at Western. I'll continue with the social media campaign, posting a fact a day. That's my goal with that. I'll contact clients who participate in the cleanups and get the feedback. And I will possibly go on another coral reef cleanup to get more information and more permission to advertise more programs. So hopefully on year 3 I'll go on a university exchange trip. If the area is tropical, I can gather more information from there as well. And if there's another cleanup program, great. I'll probably do that as well. Get more programs to advertise. And And then I will begin to branch out to other travel agencies once I gathered enough client feedback. And I'll ask them to see if they're willing to advertise these cleanups. And I'll try and gain the permission of another reef cleanup once I'm certain of credibility and I'm advertising. I won't necessarily need to go on another reef cleanup though. I'll follow up with the programs that I've already went with and see if they can direct me to another one. I'll go into contact with them and ask them all the questions that I think would establish them as credible. And then I'll continue with my social media awareness campaign. So year 4 would be my last year at Western. I'll continue to encourage other travel agencies to participate and hopefully keep posting that fact a day on the Facebook group. So year 5, hopefully I'll be going to grad school. If my social media benchmark with Facebook has been reached, so the 1,000 members at the end of 5 years, I'll expand to a different social media platform, maybe Twitter. I don't know. I don't have Twitter, but it'd be fun to use. And then I'll continue with Facebook either way, and I'll follow up with more clients, gather more feedback, and increase the credibility of these programs, and I'll hopefully try to communicate with other agencies. And there's one more slide. So this is Dory's way of asking if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to open to the panelists for any questions that they may have. Or that Dory says.
Yeah. I'm sorry I came late, so maybe I missed out on the first part. What type of cleanup do you have in mind? Is it the water or just the garbage inside? I'm not very clear on that.
It's the debris inside the reef. So there's these programs find specific places where there's a lot of garbage underneath. I know in Florida there are 1 million tires on the bottom of some specific area, and they're trying to find volunteers to help clean up that area. That's what I'm aware of. Yeah.
And is it that physical garbage that causes the bleaching of the?
Not necessarily. It's mainly the greenhouse gases and all the fossil fuels we're burning, but they do contribute.
Because one of the main reasons for the pollution in water is also the suntans and the Band-Aids and all the other things. So you're focusing on the garbage.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there are any other organizations that are currently are there other social media organizations or online petitions or NGOs involved in maybe awareness campaigns currently? And
Yeah, there are tons. When I was researching, there are a lot. I can't name any specific ones because I didn't add them in my report, but I remember reading about them for
and
sure.
what would differentiate yours from those existing ones? Would it just be the audience, perhaps, or?
The audience, because I'm trying to target my age group, because this is really our generation's issue. I mean, when I went to Australia, we had a friend there, and we were talking about issues about the ocean, and he was saying that the Australian government doesn't really care about how the Great Barrier Reef is practically dying, because it's not their issue, it's ours. Our generation's going to be the one fixing all this. So. Yeah. I'm sorry, what was the question? I think I just lost it.
You were talking about a Facebook page and then perhaps a Twitter page, and I just wondered if there were other, organizations involved in social media who were, promoting the same message of cleanup, and you seem to have a particular target audience, I guess, that you're working with, and maybe that doesn't already exist, and so you're filling that niche.
Yeah, and I think in terms of differentiation, I didn't see any other organizations trying to target travel agencies. I mean, tourism is such a big thing when it comes to this sort of thing, and a lot of people I know would be willing to help if they thought this activity would be fun for their kids. And for the really young kids, they could do beachside cleanups as well and add that, but they can't do that. So really, it's for anyone. I think it'd be fun.
Now, there'll be some finances that you need for this whole project. So do you have something in mind for? Are you requesting people for investment in your project, or what are your plans?
I've talked to my parents about it, and they'd be willing because they know I'm passionate about this subject. If I'm reached a point where I'm gone past 5 years and I can start paying for it myself in terms I've had summer jobs, which I'm pretty sure I will, then I can maybe pay for some of it. I'll be investing in myself. If I get to that point where my parents have stopped and I don't have enough, I can talk to my social Facebook group, see if anyone's willing. I can start a campaign if I need to. I'm willing to do that. Yeah, crowdfunding. Yeah.
You've got fundraising under your belt, so I'm concerned that you won't be able to raise the funds or anything like that. A suggestion from my side. Mr. Richardson brought up other organizations, and I've been in multiple of these presentations in the last 2 days. And what I've been suggesting to people is there's lots of good work being done, and we all want to reinvent the wheel, but sometimes it's really good to attach yourself or to learn from somebody that's already doing something similar. It doesn't have to be the same. So a good place to maybe start is National Geographic. They do a lot of this kind of work. They've got photographers and experts that are focusing on coral reefs and things like that. So 2 weeks ago I was at a presentation by a National Geographic photographer who's focusing on coral reefs and has started his own little NGO campaign to clean up the reefs. Right? So I will send you the link and the contact. And what's good about it is it gives you more credibility.
Right.
You're Jessica Lobo, right? We know you, but does the rest of the world know you? And if you want to get people to get on board, if they see that you're endorsed by National Geographic or by whatever organization, you're definitely way more credible.
Okay.
People are going to be like, okay, she knows what she's doing. She's not just a, second year Western student trying to get something going. Okay? So just a suggestion.
All right. Thank you.
And open it up to anyone who has any other questions as well.
You ever thought, given you have some great experience here, kind of rallying people and following up and getting people to do what they're supposed to be doing. So, ever thought about the potential in terms of the plan? And this could be a lot, and about actually trying to kind of run maybe in fourth year, a reading week type trip that's around this kind of a cleanup, where,
like through Western.
Yeah, like friends you meet, or through a group and advertise it. Like, I just think it's something along that lines. I mean, you're certainly organized enough, and while it wouldn't be you actually, working with a company that does this, but you talk about you going and traveling and doing this, the opportunity of actually kind of having it would be a neat take on a fourth year reading week trip, right, where people tend to go down to the beach and
do other stuff.
Put lots of stuff in the water. That came wrong, but to do that and to think about the possibility of actually kind of organizing, your own kind of reading week trip, which would include lots of obviously like fun things coming from, but actually focusing on something that that you care about.
I would love to do that, but the problem is like thinking so far into the future. Like the reason why I kept this so simple was because I don't know like what I'll be doing in terms of like my time. I don't want to be taking too many things on at once. If I like have the time to do that sort of thing, I'd definitely be willing. I'd be willing to like go with just my friends, like organize it with just my friends and go do this. If they're willing to do that, I don't know if they would, because reading week's supposed to be something for like, I don't know, not cleaning up, but I'd be willing to organize something. I just didn't know where I'd be at that point in my life.
Yeah, I just think it would be interesting to consider, because I think that certainly, the more there's lots of people your age that are interested in doing something a little potentially more in depth, that could still be fun and still have all of the kind of fun stuff that comes along with reading, but actually doing good.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be a neat combination to consider.
I think you'll be surprised that you're going to find a lot of people that want to do good, and that can say we can have fun and do good all at the same time. So, just a little idea.
And further to that, some of the environmental sciences departments, or even some of the groups or clubs that you'll meet or see at Western, there may be some that have a good alignment with the kind of thing that you're interested in anyway, which definitely could be something to bolster that. And then obviously, depending on your program, you might actually find ways to advertise it as well better because of the MIT program.
Right.
So,
and use your Appleby alum connections, right? I mean, get on that Appleby alum Facebook page and advertise cleanup things there. And I mean, you've got a target audience there that's already like looking and reading and so.
Anything else?